Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. We hope that both your families and you are all well. Let me welcome you. So I would like to thank you for your attendance at this new webinar. And also let me introduce our colleague. With us is Víctor Alonso, our technical expert, and myself. My name is Yolanda González, and I am the head of the commercial department. So let's get started. Surely you have received information regarding our software new version release for virtualization of desktops, applications, and remote access to physical and virtual computers. This webinar intends that you virtually know the new functionalities and therefore you can get the most out of it. I'll cover a few things and then we can go straight to the demo that Víctor Alonso will do. So, so far, we are going to talk in this webinar about the new features introduced and how to help the situation that we are experiencing during the last months, almost a year now. And see, I know this is a really important topic and it's hard to cover everything in a more or less 50 minutes webinar, but it should be really interesting and informative for you. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about how our roadmap is made. Sometimes to tackle specific projects, you ask us to include certain characteristics and functionalities that will help you carry it out. Our roadmap, as you well know, is based on those requests, those demands that come to us from you, our users, clients, and partners. So you are the ones who fill those needs, the ones who are ahead always. And for that, we also want to thank you. Thanks for your suggestions and your active participation in this, what is crucial to us. See, the current situation, the pandemic, has made us accelerate a process that was on the way, but coming more slowly. The functionalities introduced in UDS Enterprise help on this path of solving the challenges that both private and public organizations are facing right now. Talking, of course, about remote working, and if we are talking about education in the task of distance learning. So being aware of this problematic situation, the Virtual Cable team have incorporated new functionalities and perfected others that already existed within our software. Not only to implement remote work, but to promote tools to improve IT management with VDI. Just to name some of them, some of the new functionalities, let's talk about MetaPools. See, what is particular about this moment that we are currently go through is that we don't know how long it will last. So it is risky to make investments in equipment, components. In this sense, what the metal pools will allow us is that we'll be able to group service pools and configure them as we consider best, in such a way that we can unite several platforms so that they work as if they were one. We can even have a part on premise and another on the cloud. What else we have? We have made improvements to manage remote access to physical or virtual machines. Also, as I guess you know, support for Proxmox and also Hyper-V in cluster. So what else? Reliable security and encryption measures also stand out from the long list of improvements, such as secure customer access through the use of digital signatures. All this further shielding security and improving the usability of the system. Now, without further ado, I will give the floor to Víctor Alonso, who is the most important here, our central role. He's going to do a complete demo which will show us little by little the new functionalities, the ones that I have already spoken, and some others. So Víctor, whenever you are ready, please go ahead.
I'm going to share my screen to show you all the new functionalities in this new webinar. The first thing that we are going to see is that we are continue with the same the same things with the UDS Enterprise. Is providing the 3 virtual appliances, and here we can see the our section to do the download independence of our hypervisor. Of course, we can have here some of the new features. We can see here that we are entered the new hypervisor like is Proxmox, and of course we can have here the new text log with we can add the new change that we are adding in the new versions of the UDS Enterprise. We are going to connect with an Hyper-V virtual platform to do the Strike demo. We can see here the 3 virtual appliances that are uploaded for this platform. These are power off. We are straight to power on all of the appliances. The first one, always the database. The second one's the server. And the last one, the tunneler. If you can see here, in one of the changes that we do in this new version is that we increase the necessary resources to be run the new functionalities of the UDS Enterprise. We are going to connect with the UDS server to do the first deploy. As you can see, when we start these virtual appliances, the first thing that we can see is that we have an URL with do the configuration of this new version of UDS. We are going to connect with this IP address. In the configuration port that we can have here in the same way. And if you can see, the first thing that we are having in this configuration website is the possibility to change the language for this deploy. We are going to continue, and the next step is tell to us that we are going to start to do the installation in this UDS deploy. Then we have the EULA, and the next step is configuring the network. We have the possibility to continue with this address and these dates of the network, or we can enter a new address. In this case, we are going to enter a new address, and we enter to the gateway. And then when we go to continue, the process automatically put these dates in a static and go to reload the page with the new IP address. These processes are automatically. In case that this process is not being well, the UDS process can reload the older one to try to do again the new configuration of the IP address. Okay, the next step is configure our Linux keyboard and what are our time zone. This is important because when we have to see the logs or have some tools to take in account the time, it's important to enter our time zone. We can enter our city and automatically update the dates and the time. If we have an NTP server in our company, we can use it to take our time zone. We are going to continue. In this new version, we have a change to this, and we can have two different type of configuration. We can use a remote database or the embed database. We can select in both in all of our versions. In the free and the evaluation version can be used the external database too. We are in this case we are going to use an external database, and we are going to enter the dates of this database. In our case is this one that we have in our website. In this case, because the username and the database are by default, we are using the UDS. But if you are using another database or you change the user and the password, you can enter here these dates. Now they are going to try to connect with our database. And here we have another new thing that we enter in this new version. In this version, we need to active this our key or our subscription, and we have two different ways. The first way is with using the internet connection. This is the online process, and we have the offline process that is having to us a code that you are going to send to us with an email, and when we have it, we do a process and send to you a file to do the next step on this configuration process. In this case, we are using the online process. Then we go to configure our root user password and the super user for the configuration in our website of UDS. Now we are going to continue. And in the next step of the process of the installation, we can have the possibility of use the certificates to use the HTTPS connection. This is more easily than in previous version that we need to do this process in the terminal side. And in this way, we can select in our computer the certificate, the key, and the in case that we have the company that do this file, and we can upload to the process. In this case, we haven't got, and we are going to continue. And then when we finish this deploy, we can reboot the system and then we can connect with our UDS server, like in the previous versions. Then start, and it's going to do the restarts. And now, if we erase this one, we can have our website to do the login and start with the configure. Now we are going to start with the process with the UDS tunneler. We are opening the console. As you can see, this something that I don't tell you before is these appliances are in Debian and in Debian and are update and upgrade all the package that is having at this date. And we are going to start in case that we haven't got an DHCP in our LAN. We can add an IP address for this appliance manually. I'm going to show you before. Now we are going to do the connection to this website to do the connection and the configuration for the UDS tunnel. In the same way of the UDS server, we need to enter the port 9900 to do the configure connection. It's not responding. We are going to reboot this machine because it's not taking in account my connection. Okay, now it's going to connect. In the first page that we have is the configure of our language to this process in the same way of we have in the UDS server, and tell to us that we are starting with our process. Then we have the EULA contract, and then we have the network configuration. In this case, we are going to try to change it again. And when we finish the process, if you can see here, the process changed the IP address and continue with the process of the Tenko configuration. We are going to configure our local dates, enter the city that we are, and continue with the process. And then in the same way of the previous version, the process asks to us with the root password for the UDS tunneler. Okay, in this way, the process tell to us what type of connection we are going to use. In this case is HTTP, and we are going to enter the dates for the UDS server. And then asks to us if we have the certificates to enter in this step of the process. It's in the same way of the UDS server. And then we can reboot and the process will be finished. In this new version, we have entered some commands in the command line of the UDS, and we are going to tell to you what is doing. In this version, the command line that we enter is the UDS. And with this command, we have some of our tools that can be useful in the case that we need to do some task in our UDS server and the UDS tunneler too. We have the command UDS setup in both in the UDS server and in the UDS tunneler command line to start the web setup in all the time that we need. For example, if we finish the configuration, but we need to do some change, or we need to change the server and we need to reconfigure our tunneler, we can start the process and change the IP address for the UDS server, for example. And we can install the UDS certificate with the command line in the same way that we use in the previous version with the command UDS cert. With the UDS subscription command, we can check our subscription status, and we can refresh this subscription for the dates that we have in our servers. For example, in case that you increase on number of users, or you do a renewal of the subscription, the thing that you need to do in the infrastructure is only do a UDS subscription refresh. With this command, is going to connect with our servers and recheck all the information, and automatically is appear in our UDS deploy. With the command UDS security, we can change the super user and the password in UDS. The super user are the user that we are going to use, or we are configured here in the wizard process for enter in the first time. In case that we lost or we don't remember the password or something like that, we can change this parameter to re-enter to our UDS platform and do all the configuration that we need. And for the last one is the UDS IP. These are going to be useful to do all the changes in our IP address, the netmask, and the gateway, in case that we haven't got an DHCP, or in case that we are going to change these parameters in for any cases. Well, now we are going to check a little bit of the other changes that we do in this new version. If you see, the web page are changing in all the view, and these changes are be useful and can be changes all the view. I go to show you later. One of the changes that we have here in this new version is the clients. The clients, as you can see, we are continue with the legacy that are in the previous version and are for the oldest client that haven't got the requirements to do the install for the new actors that we have in this new version that are developed in Python 3.5 or newer, and the legacy are in 2.7. And the other difference that we have in this new version are the actors. The actors are renewed too, and we have in the new versions of Python, and we have the legacy too, in case that we are going to use an older template, for example, to do a configuration of that. Something that we enter in this new version is the unmanaged UDS actor. These unmanaged actors are for machines that we are not going to have creating and erasing, that are physical or virtual machines that are static in our platform. And with this, we can control that the user are logged out, and we can reuse this machine for another users. In one case of use of this UDS actor is in case that we have a classroom or something like that, and when the user are logged out for this type of computers, a new student can go to this pool service and can use these machines that are not in use. Well, now we are going to check the configuration to do the change the view of these virtual things. If you see in this portal, we change all the view of this UDS server. This is other platform with another deploy of the UDS. Now we are, if you see, we can change the image, the color, the background, and the type of the letters. Now we are going to enter with an user with privilege. If you see in this new version, we change the view of the resources. In this new version is not in tab, are in the drop down, as you see. And we can have a little bit different way to be shown to the users. If not having an we can have here the different connection protocols and the action that we are provide to the to these users. Now, to change this view, we are going to do the configuration in the dashboard. It's not in this new version, the change of the view is not doing in changing the files that we have in our virtual appliance. For do the configuration change, we are going to tools and configuration, and here we add the custom tab. In this custom tab, we can have different sections. In one of them is the thesis section, and here with code, we can enter the thing that we are going to use to change the view. For example, here we can go to change the background for our UDS sections. And with the logo name, we can change this text that appear here, and here we can change the text that appear in the copyright and the URL that is going to. And of course, we can enter here in the site information the different the different text and URL to do a connect with our, in this case, to our documentation section, and the name that appear when the user are going to login in to the UDS server portal. Of course, we can add, if you see here, some of our buttons for do. One of the changes that we add in our new version is the possibility of have here in the service pool, we have here the link to do a fast go to the provider, to the service, and the OS manager or the pool group. This is so much asked to us the way to enter to do more fastly and more easily the connection to the different things in our deploy. And one thing that we adding is that the possibility for enter in one of the resources doing double click. With doing double click, we enter to the service and not going to be down that in the previous version. One of the things that we enter in this new version is the connection protocol or the hypervisor Proxmox. These virtual platform are the platform that the user must answer for us to do the compatible with. And we can do the connection for this virtual platform, enter a little dates. That is the normal. The IP address for the server, the port to do the connection, and the user and password with privilege to do the creation and erasing machines in this new platform. One thing that enter in this new version 2 is in our VMware platform. In this VMware platform, we enter the possibility of use in the cache level 2 that the machines not go to suspended state if not going to power off. This solves the problem that in some cases that the machines have so much time in our platform that are suspended. When we unsuspend it, the machines in some cases is not working well. With this functionality, this problem are solved. And this functionality can be added to the other virtual platform in the futures version of UDS. And this functionality take to us the possibility to use the cache level 2 in the Nutanix IHU. And some functionality more that we have here in the service provider are the possibility of use the Hyper-V in cluster mode. That is so much requested for us in the previous versions. And we have continued with the legacy Hyper-V that is the connector that we have in the previous version. But if you haven't got Hyper-V connector yet, or if you are going to use a cluster, you can migrate this connector to the new one and can do the connection with the virtual Hyper-V, and you can do the connection with the cluster. In the OBIRT, we are enter the compatibility with the new versions and erase the compatibility with the last versions, because the OBIRT manufacturer cannot have support for them. And in the OpenStack, we can enter the possibility of using regions in this new version too. That is something that is requested for us for add in this new version. In the RDS server, we can add a new functionality that is important in this case, in the way that we haven't got an active directory yet in our company deploy. This is the possibility of create an user mapping automatic in the way that the user are going to connect with the RDS server. These processes are automatic that I see, and is creating the users and to do the connection or the user mapping to this with an active directory that are not can be in the workout. For work in this way, we need to enter the IP address for the Active Directory server. One of the unit organizative to do the creation of these users, the user and password with privilege to do the creation for these users, the prefix for the users can be created, and for example, in what domain or what group we are going to enter these users. With this process, we can know how many users are going to connect with the RDS server, and it's not necessary to create, in case that we haven't got an Active Directory yet, the users previously in the machine manually. One of the now we are going to change to the Authenticators, and in the Authenticators we enter the possibility we put one of our authenticators that are configured in visible. This is the possibility that create one of our authenticator, and can the users see it in the drop down that they have in the display of enter the user and name, and have the possibility to use this authenticator with the administrators in the same thing that using the labels that we are using in the previous version too. And now we are going to pass with a new features that we enter in this new version. We are going to delete this. This functionality are the metapools. The metapools that see Yolanda before is the possibility to aggregate one of our service pool that we create in one service for the users are going to connect. These are useful in case that we have two different virtual platforms, one on-premise and one in the cloud, for example. We are going to have an example. In the name, we are going to enter Meta. And here we are going to select in what thing we are going to do the send the user for one service pool or another. Here we can define three different ways. The first one that are evenly distributed, that is in random in random thing. They say that the three first users are going to the first meta pool and the three last one to the second. The two users are going to connect with the first one and the two last one to the second. Or they do the balancing to the users automatically, but not one by one. In the next step, the priority is using the priority of the meta pools. And when the lower priority meta pool are going to be full, the user are going to passing to the next one. And then we have the percent of available. And in this, we can, when we have more available than 50, they are going to be changes one to another. In our example, we are going to use eventually. And here in display is in the way that we are having in the service pool automatically. Now, for enter the service pool, we need to enter on it and select the priority and then the service. In this case, we are going to use the Xubuntu in Proxmox and the Xubuntu in the vCenter. In this case, they are using first one, the Xubuntu in Proxmox, and then the Xubuntu in vCenter. In the same way, we need to select the group of users that we are going to use for this this service pool. And in this way, we are using by the users. The new feature that we are in this version is the accounts. The accounts is the approximation for the pay for use in the UDS virtual platform, and have the possibility to us to create one account to add this account to one of the services. And we can control what users are going to connect with one user. And of course, we can check and can then have a report with this information. Now we are going to check this one. We are going to check the static machines that I tell to you that we have the actor special for this type of service. To do the connection between the UDS server and the UDS actor unmanaged, we use the token that we configure here and then enter in the UDS actor. If you see here, we have a list of service, and we can select what services, and we can check what services are available. For example, in case that this machine are not powered on, when the user are going to connect with this machine, we resend to another that are available, and when the list finish and try again, if this machine are powered on and useful, we can take a user for this to do the connection and use it the service. One thing that I don't show to you is the possibility of do the configuration of the new UDS actor. If you see here, show a little more bigger. Yeah. If you see here, you can enter in the configuration of the UDS actor. You can configure the communication between the UDS actor to the UDS server with SSL. We need to enter here the IP address for the UDS server, and automatically when they do the connection, they take to us the possibility of use the authenticators that we have configured in our virtual platform, in our UDS server, sorry. Because the connection and the authentication of this UDS actor with the UDS server are through a user that have permission in our UDS server. Why do that? Because it's more security, and is better than the previous version that only do the connection, enter and a text in a box text. And in this new version, we add into the possibility of execute 3 type of scripts. In the first is in the pre-connect tool, and in the pre-connect is the time that the UDS previous do the connection in the creation of the machines. In the runs ones is the previous connection of the user do the connection to the VDI, and this one are, for example, useful to connect with one of the unit in the LAN that are shared for all the users. And in the post config are the tools that are connecting to finish the process of the UDS into the configuration of it. We are going to check another of our platform that is here. Here we have example of our configuration, and in this you can see the different type of resources that you can have in your UDS server. You can have a Windows desktop, Windows application, Linux application, and Linux desktop too, in the same way of the previous version. If you want to have any test of our new version, you can go here to the UDS download and request one of our new testing version of this one. You can have in the way of the previous version the free edition that is 10 users lifetime, and the evaluation edition that are for unlimited number of users for 60 days. And of course, if you need to do the connection for our virtual platform, you can request for the online demo.
Well, everything comes to an end, so that I will fire this webinar. But please don't forget to ask us to request the version 3.0. And of course, if you want to ask any other that Victor already mentioned, is also very good with us. So we hope that you have found this webinar interesting. Thanks to all of you for your assistance and participation. Have a wonderful day or wonderful evening or whatever. And see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.